So packet flow firewall. So how actually, what is the meaning of packet flow? It means how the, what is the processing, how it is processing the packet. That is the meaning of a packet flow. Okay. So let me explain. If this is my firewall and there is a one PC. Okay. And there is a one PC. Okay. So this is PC1, this is PC2. Okay. Okay. So as I explained, if this guy PC2, okay, so there is a zone. I'm just explaining. This is inside zone. Like inside zone means it is my LAN. Okay, this is my LAN network, and this is outside zone. Okay, outside zone. Outside means outside, and we know that inside, which is the inside of the network, is called trust network. Okay, what is trust? Trust means those are the employee, those are our own guy, our own employee of organization. So that's why it's called trusted network. Outside means it is connected with the internet. So in all the any attacks would can come from the outside, definitely. So those kind of stuff is called untrusted. So outside zone would known as untrusted. Okay, this is trusted and untrusted. So here we going to learn about the how the firewall processing the packet if any connection is tried to establish. Okay, so let's suppose if this PC2 have a IP of 1.1.1. This is the IP address. Okay, we were explaining 10.0.0.1. Okay, so if this PC want to initiate a connection, as I explained yesterday, so as we know that there is a one initiator and there is a one responder. So if PC2 here is become initiator, he want to initiate a connection. Okay, if he want to initiate a connection and he want to access the PC1, so what firewall will check? Okay, how the firewall, if the packet come to the firewall, what firewall will check? Firewall first check the state table. As I explained yesterday, state table. Firewall will check the state table first. What it will check? It will check that whether this connection is a new connection or it's a existing connection. Okay, what is the meaning of existing? If any traffic coming to the firewall, if it's already existing, existing means it means in the state table there is already the information would be there. It means it's a existing traffic. It's not a new traffic. It's a could be a return packet is coming. So it's a existing traffic. If it's a existing traffic, always make sure if it's a existing traffic, firewall is not going to check anything, nothing. If it's a existing traffic, firewall simply allowed it because it's a existing traffic. It's already been allowed because it's a return packet. Okay, make sure guys, whatever I'm telling you, if it's a existing traffic, firewall not going to check anything. I'm going to explain. Okay, so this is the point number one. Firewall will check for the existing connection. If it's an existing connection, firewall simply allow the packet to the destination. Okay, this is the first packet. And if it's a new connection, there is a firewall check in the state table. There is no information found for the mentioned source IP or mentioned destination IP and the port number. It means it's a new connection. So if it's a new connection, what kind of stuffs or what kind of how the packet is going to process from the firewalls. So if it's a new connection, firewall found that it's a new connection. Okay, so then what it's going to check? First, it will check the destination NAT lookup. It will do the NAT lookup, but destination NAT, it's a network address translation. Okay, 10.0.0.0/8. This is a private IP, okay? And 172.16.0.0.2. This is a range, okay? 172.16. How much? 31.255. Then 192.168.0.02. 192.168.255.255. This is the range of private IP, guys. If no one, if it's a new for anyone, please note it down. This is the range of private IP, and this is called RFC Who will tell? One night, one night. Okay. So if anyone asks what is called RFC is what? A request for comment. Actually, for any protocol, any traffic, there is a one RFC. Everything has a have RFC. RFC. Okay. So don't think about that. It is called private IP. Range of private IP is also called RFC 1918. So see. So actually, why we are using private IP? What happened? Public IP is actually chargeable. Okay. So public IP is chargeable, yes, and public IP is made routable, okay, to the internet. So see, public IP can be, see, if it's a firewall, this is internet, okay, this is my LAN. Guys, public IP can be routable everywhere, even in the internet, even in the LAN, okay, everywhere. But private IP only routable into the LAN. It's public IP is not routable on the internet. Always make sure, okay. Public IP, private IP is only made for the LAN. And why? Why it is made for the LAN? I want to explain. Okay, see. So what happened? As we know that public IP is a chargeable. So in any office, in any LAN network, there could be a multiple user, okay, multiple server, multiple employee, like more than 50,000 or 10,000, more than 1 lakh even user. So we can't provide a 10 lakh user one static IP or DSCP, whatever, okay. So we can't provide a 10 lakh users public IP. If anyone is reachable, anyone is so much rich, they can, but actually it's not feasible, right? So that's why scientists came with the solution. We can make one, private IP range. So for the LAN, only those IP can be usable. Okay, this is the range for the private IP. So in any office network, you will work in any office, you will only find this IPs only in the LAN. Okay, you never find this IP even in your laptop. If you go to a laptop and open do the IP config, you will find only LAN IP if you connect it with the Wi-Fi. Okay, if you connect it with the Wi-Fi, you will find the local IP only. Could be 192. Sorry, this is 168. Huh? Could be 192, 168, or could be anyone. So private IP is only made for LAN. Okay, but private IP is not routable to internet. So why? Because it is, why it is not routable? Because it is free IP. It is just a free IP. Okay. The internet is only, public IP is routable because it's a chargeable and whatever. So see, public IP is even registered. Each public IP is registered to INA or registered to the each company whoever bought it, because it's a chargeable IP. So that's why public IP has some such kind of, it is very much chargeable, very much expensive. So whenever, if LAN user having a private IP and this LAN user want to go to connect to the internet, how it will connect? Because as I said, private IP is not routable to the internet. So how it will route actually? So at that time, we will use NATing, network address translation. So let's suppose this is my PC, okay, his IP is 10.0.0.1, and he want to get access of, suppose, facebook.com. Just I'm taking one example, okay, and his IP is 1.1.1, okay. So definitely, if this IP initiate the communication, it is not going to work because it has a private IP. So what we can do, in between there is a firewall or router, whatever it is. I'm considering firewall here. So in the firewall, we can make such kind of configuration. So if he will initiate a traffic for facebook.com, and that time when the packet would come here, firewall, what firewall it does? Firewall NAT the IP. It means this IP, likewise, see that 10.0.0.1, it will NAT into some public IP like 2.2.2.2. It will NAT with, it will change. What is NATing? Like it is changed to this IP, translated to this IP, and then now it become a public IP, and then it will be easily routable, and it can easily be moved to or get access of this IP or facebook.com, whatever, in the public, anything. In the firewall, okay, this is internet, and this is my LAN, okay, this is my LAN PC. There is one more PC, suppose. So there is two things, okay. See, NATing has some types. One is static NAT. I want to explain those when the topic would come. So one is called static NAT, one is called dynamic NAT. Okay, dynamic NAT. So
Okay, sir.
there is some types of NAT: static NAT, dynamic NAT, and dynamic PAT. Okay, there is a one PAT. So what would happen if this guy, there is a PC1, PC2. If this guy want to access internet, so we can either give static NAT. Static NAT is where we can use when the traffic will initiate from both sides, like from the outside. If from the public, if suppose this is connected with the public, if this also will initiate a traffic and try to communicate to this local LAN user, it means can be initiated from the both sides. Okay, so that time static NAT we can use. Okay, and this is a one-to-one translation, like 10.0.1. It is static, it's a fixed. Okay, so no one can change. It means this IP will only use 2.2.2. No other IP will use this IP. Okay, it is a one-to-one stick. It's a static one-to-one. Translated. That's called static. So that is a bi-directional traffic. Anyone can initiate the traffic. Okay, this is the meaning of static. But dynamic PAT. What is dynamic PAT? If we can use only one public IP here, only one, like 3.3.3.3, only one public IP, and if we have a multiple server, like even if we have a 5,000 users, if whenever he want to go outside, he will take this IP only. Okay, this IP only. Could be it's an interface IP or anything. That's called patting. Okay, port address translation. Okay, so that time it's required. It one public IP can capable to take a more than 5,000, even 10,000, even 1 lakh. It's all different. It's all depend on the user. Okay, it is capable, but it's a unidirectional. Okay, what is unidirectional? It means at that time all the traffic would be initiated from the inside only, not from the out. If outside guys want to communicate with this guy, it will not be feasible. It not be work. It's only from the inside. Okay, it's a unidirectional. But for the static, it's a both bi-directional. From both side, traffic would be initiated. So that's actually a example of static and dynamic PAT. Dynamic NAT is also the same of like a PAT, but there is some limitation of a pool. Like some pool of user we can define. A pool of like in the PAT only we have defined one IP, but in the dynamic NAT we can give some 10 public IP, and we have a, like suppose if 20 users inside, if those will come, the first 10 if use those 10 IP. If 11 user would come, there is a no IP is left. Okay, so it has to be wait. So that's a different thing. We can explain later on because it could be make you confused. Don't think about that. So just think about the static NAT on dynamic PAT. So see, as I said, this is my firewall, this is my internet. Okay, and suppose this is DMZ. Okay, what is DMZ? This is nothing. This is demilitarized zone. This is my LAN. Okay, there is a users are there, multiple users. What is DMZ? I need to explain. This is demilitarized zone. Okay, demilitarized. Okay, militarized zone. Okay, in the network security, you would be heard demilitarized zone. It means where you will hosting your server, public, like a web server, public facing server. Okay, so those we can put at the DMZ. That's it. DMZ actually, but we used to say DMZ. It's a Z. Okay, don't think about this. So here the question is like why we are doing static net. As I said, we are putting, like we can't have that kind of money, so that why we are not able to purchase like we have a 1,000 server. Okay, 1,000 server. Okay, and those server it's required, those server is required to like to get access from the public. Okay, get access from the public. So for public accessing, it required a public IP. Okay, like it's required a static NAT. So either you can buy a 1,000 public IP and assign to each of them. Either. Okay, or like we have even we have a more than server. So that is buying of those things is not much feasible. So actually those public IP we have also have a LAN user. Those LAN user also need to access those servers. Okay, those LAN user also need to access those servers. Okay, So for the security purpose, I don't want to expose the IP address of server. I don't want to expose. So there is a three things. Uh, One thing, security measures. Okay. So for security measures, I want to put the IP of my server is private. That is my private IP. Second is public IP is much more actually, chargeable. Okay. Three things. Okay. Static IP is only required when traffic would be bi-directional. So that time we can use public IP. Okay. So that would be much more feasible. Even if we have thousands of 5,000 of users want to go to outside, okay, that kind of only one IP would be able to communicate those 5,000 users to the public. Okay, so my private IP is actually using to hiding my public hiding the IP address of my server. Okay, so if I have exposed the public, like suppose I have given this IP as a public IP 2.2.2. Okay, so if I expose it, so any attacker know that okay, this IP is for this server. Okay, so anyway, so there could be a multiple chance of attack would come directly to this. Okay, but if I will just put this IP as my private 10.001 and I will NAT it here, anyone would come. What would happen? Firewall will take care. But if any traffic, if I've only simply give the IP address of public IP at that point of time. If any hacker would come, if any, because it is allowed from the public domain, right, from the internet. So definitely, if any public access would come from the outside, firewall simply allowed it. Definitely, if firewall allowed it. So there could be a chance of TCP SYN attack. There could be a chance of sending some malicious attack. There could be a chance of sending a bombasting of attack, like a multiple, session would going to be built. So for that security measure, we can hide we will not exposing our server with the original physical IP address. We will hide it with the NATing. Okay, in that kind of situation or scenarios, always make sure to put your private IP always to your server, even the LAN. Okay, only use your public IP whenever it want to communicate with the internet. See, proxy server, as I explained, proxy server is we are using only for the web-based traffic. See, proxy server can do lots of things, but right now we are not learning about the proxy server. When we come to the topic, we can explain it. Server is used for the web-based traffic. Okay, web-based traffic. So any web-based traffic, like if you are opening your browser and then you are accessing anything, those traffic would come a web-based traffic. So that kind of like blocking a URL or blocking a content or blocking a social media or malicious stuff, those kind of blocking and allowing can be done by the proxy server. Right? So here for the packet flow, first packet is cleared. If any existing traffic would come, firewall will not check anything and allow it. Okay. But if it's a new connection, as I said, if it's a new connection, what would happen? If it's a new connection, so first firewall will check for this is PC2. Just try to understand the concept. PC1 IP, we know that 10.0.1. Okay, and this is IP 1.1.1. This is public IP. This is private IP. So if this guy want to access this, first firewall will check that it's a new connection or existing connection. If it's an existing connection, it will allow it. Okay, it is not going to do those lookup. But if it's a new connection, it will check for destination NAT lookup. So what is the destination here? So this is the source, because this guy want to initiate the connection. So this is the source here. This is the destination here. It will check that whether any kind of NATing is going to be done here for this IP. Okay. So why it checked? If you know this concept, so why it is want to check for the destination NAT? Because if the traffic would come to the firewall check that. So see, always remember, this is a public IP. If this guy initiated traffic to accessing PC1, whether it will, the source is this, what would be the destination IP? The destination IP would be whatever it is NATed to the public. Okay. This IP would be definitely NATed with some public IP, right? So this is a private IP. Definitely there would be, because the traffic would be bi-directional. It's coming from the internet. That IP has some kind of, it is natted to any public IP. Like suppose it is natted to 3.3.3. So from the outside network, this is a source. This guy will always initiate the traffic for 3.3.3. So what would be the packet here at the firewall? It will check for the, as I said, it will check for the destination NAT lookup. So my traffic is what? Source IP is 1.1.1 and destination is NATed IP of public of your private IP. So suppose 3.3.3 is your destination IP, which is a NATed IP for this local. So then definitely traffic is coming from the source, from the public. Okay. So what would happen? Then here the firewall will look for the destination NAT lookup. Okay. So it will check that whether there any kind of NATing has been done for the destination IP. Yes, we have made the configuration for the NATing. Make sure if there is a no NAT configuration, firewall will drop the packet. Okay. So if there is a NAT configuration for them, if there is a NAT configuration, then firewall will simply NAT there, and firewall is identified that now 3.3.3 is the local IP is 10.0.0.1. Okay, this is the local IP. It will identify it. Okay, so that's why if there is a no NAT configuration, firewall will drop the packet. If there is a NAT configuration there, so firewall process the packet for the policy lookup. Okay, so what is policy lookup? Here firewall check for policies. Okay, so guys need to understand. So firewall will check the policies. So what kind of policy will create actually? So now firewall is already checked for the NATing and NATing is there. So firewall will check for the policies. So here what is my source IP? Source IP is 1.1.1, but the destination IP is 10.0.0.1 because NATing already done here. Okay, NAT lookup, and port number would be whatever it is, like 443. So firewall will check that whether this policy, this rule and action allowed, this rule created on the firewall or not. If this rule is not created, there is no policy for this rule, firewall will drop the packet. If the rule is created for this source and destination and it is allowed, firewall process the packet for policy lookup. Route lookup. What is route lookup? Here firewall will check that for the mentioned destination, there is a route or not. For mentioned source and destination both. Okay, it will check that the routing, it will check the route information. Okay, and if there is no route information for the source, firewall drop the packet. Destination, firewall drop the packet. If there is a route information there at the firewall know the routing where it is belongs. Okay, firewall then forward the packet for source NAT lookup. So then firewall will do the look for a source NAT lookup. It is not most of the time source NAT lookup actually not required actually. So how you will explain? If source NAT required and rule is not there, firewall drop the packet. If source NAT required and rule is there at the firewall process the packet for routing. What is routing? This is IP routing. It means firewall move the traffic to the proceed the traffic to the server, whatever the PC is, your 10.0.0.1. So that's how the policy, the packet flow. So this is how actually the packet flow of a firewall.